Hi, this is Crafting Kurt here, and I'm here to share a little tutorial on tissue paper flowers that I featured for Platinum Scrap's anniversary project. It's very simple to make these, and they're really inexpensive. The materials will cost you like under $5. So what you will need is some floral wire, some floral tape, and tissue paper cut into petal shapes. Now the way to get your different petal shapes is to really go online and do a search for flower images, or go to bloomingbulb.com. It's a site that I really like to use because they have really great images of a lot of different flowers. But once you decide that you want to cut out your shapes, and you see here that I have a bunch of different shapes of petals for different flowers, and the way that I got the edge, like on this white petal for instance, and these yellow and that pink, is by using something we've all seen, these decorative edge scissors. Really easy to do and save you a lot of time. So once you have your petal shapes all cut out and ready to go, you want to think about the stamen in your flower. Some flowers have that center part with the stamen that holds the pollen, and the way that I do that is really simple. Here's an example of a few. I'll take these out for you. There's some that I did, and I normally cut them shorter because I'm going to be attaching it to a longer piece of wire, as you'll see in a minute. And I like to use two different colors for the stamen. Normally stamen are yellowish with some hints of orange or red, so I like to just ball up a piece of tissue paper to use as my inside, then take a larger piece for my outside, and I'm actually going to cut a piece of wire here live for you. And just place it on top of the wire, and you don't have to worry about it being perfect, because what you're going to do is you're going to wrap that tissue there and twist it around the stem, and then wrap all of that in floral wire until you end up with something that looks like that. Okay? So once you have your stamen together, you're actually ready to start making your flower. And I'm going to transfer two of these over there. So here I have some lavender petals, and I want the inside of this flower to be pink, and I'm going to use two stamen with it. So you'll notice that I twisted the ends of those petals, and it's really easy. You don't have to be really precise with it because you have time to work with it, and also flowers are imperfect, so you don't want it to be too perfect. Just pinch the end, and it's just going to hold down on the bulk once you do the middle of your flower. So here I'm going to take these two stamen, and I have a piece of wire, and I'm just going to sort of wrap the wire around those two pieces. Sorry, I keep lifting it up. Just to hold it in place for now. And now I'm going to work on my center. I'm just going to pinch these as I go, and the center of a flower wraps around the stamen a little more closely than the outside petals, which are called guard petals. The center petals are a lot closer. So I'm playing with that, and I'm going to play until I'm happy, and I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to take my floral tape and pick a point to start, and then just start wrapping down. And floral tape will only stick to itself. It doesn't stick to the wire or the paper. So that is why you have to do the wrapping. And I'm not going to wrap all the way down this wire. I'll just do a little bit. So there's my center. Now I can start building my outside. And I like to do about 2 petals at a time. and then take my floral tape and once again wrap. And you don't have to wrap all the way down, just wrap enough to hold those petals so that you can move on. And then I move on to 2 more, and you want to space them around so that you get full coverage around the flower, like so. And I would keep going, wrapping with floral tape. When I get to my last 2 petals, I'm going to wrap all the way down my wire to the very end and then pull it off. And that will give you a flower. Here's an example of one that's very similar, that looks something like this. As you can see, the middle has the stamen in it, and then I have my petals on the outside. And you may notice that this flower looks very different than this one because it has a slight sheen to it, and it's a little more translucent than this one. And the reason that is because once I have my flowers done, I like to stand them up in a piece of styrofoam and spray them with just a clear finish spray, the really inexpensive $1 one that you can find most places. And that not only gives the petals a little more stability and substantiates them a little bit more, but also, if you remember, I put that red on the inside, and I don't know how well you can see that. I'll hold it up close to the camera. That red sort of peeks through underneath that yellow, and it really helps add to the realistic effect for the flower. Another way to make a flower, and this actually works really well for carnations, is this sort of layered effect. So here I have about 6 or 7 strips, and what I did is I just folded them in half, and then using a pair of decorative scissors I cut the edges, and I cut it down until it was only a couple of inches long, as you can see here. And both edges are decoratively cut, and I will tell you that those decorative scissors are going to catch on the tissue paper, but let it happen, because you don't want the edge to be an exact zigzag, which is what I did for a carnation. You want it to be a little more freeform. You want the paper to sort of behave the way it wants to. And then you'll notice that I cut out a little V here. I'm going to do it on the other side for you. And what that does is it just cuts down on the center bulk. You don't want a lot of bulk in the middle once you go to make your carnation. You want to cut down on that. Now, I'm taking a piece of wire and cut it pretty long, because you want to be able to tighten this up and really wrap it. And you're going to pinch it together as tight as you can. And I actually like to take it and wrap it around. Ooh, I took it off. I wasn't wrapping it around. Anyway, I like to wrap it around, there we are, a couple times, and then pull both ends of your wire to the bottom, and you're going to twist those together all the way down the length of your wire so that it forms one wire in essence. Then from here you want to take each individual piece of tissue and separate it and pull it out and really play with it and start making a shape. For a carnation, you really want sort of a circular shape, so you have to manipulate these petals into that. And don't be afraid to crease it and pinch it up. You know, petals aren't completely flat and perfect. You know, they have texture to them, and they crumple and wrinkle, you know, so you want to play with that, and you continue playing with that until you end up with a carnation. And you can see that it's actually pretty realistic looking for a carnation, and this is just a little mini carnation that I made, but you know, you can get a very realistic effect. And another tip, when your paper is at this point, after you cut it with your decorative edge scissors, you can take an ink pad and a little dauber like this one and just go along the edges of a different color, and that way you will have a bicolor carnation here once you get to this point, and it really makes it look realistic. So here are some other finished flowers that I have. This one is sort of an oversized poppy type flower. and you can see that it has a stamen in the middle and just the petals on the outside, and I just let them kind of go how they will, because that's how flowers grow. This is a bicolor pink one. The inside is a very pale pink, and then the outside a little more of a hot pink. Here are two yellows. This one sort of mimics a rose, a bicolor rose. This one almost mimics a daffodil or buttercup. Here's one that I did that's sort of inspired by a gladiolus. It grows in a stalk, and there are multiple blooms on each stalk. So same technique. You'll just start at the top, wrap down, then you pick your next point, wrap down, pick your next point, wrap down, and you'll end up with a long stalk like that. And this one sort of mimics an iris a little bit, and once again you could take a little dauber and do some yellow in there to get a really realistic effect. But without the gladiolus, I'll put these together for you just so you can see in real time. You know, once they all start going together, they really do give a great effect, and actually look pretty realistic, surprisingly. So, tissue paper flowers, really simple, really inexpensive, and I hope all of you out there give them a shot.